Reconvene if we can. Mrs. Harris, I'll let you continue.
All right, do you want me to read the public notice again?
No, I just want, that's okay.
It might take 8 minutes.
I believe we're ready.
Okay. At this time, we will hold the public hearing. Anyone that would like to make any comments in reference to this particular resolution, go to the podium, state your name and your address, please. All right, seeing none, that concludes the public hearing. Council, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept Resolution 56, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes. Yes, ma'am. Please do. Please do. Good morning.
Good morning to everyone. There are a couple of things that I would need to make reference to for just the record and the minutes for the Community Development Block Grant. One is to provide you with an update of the fiscal year 2015 projects. Wicomico County received $350,000 to do housing rehab and also to provide assistance to Shore Housing Resource Board. With that, during that particular time, under fiscal year 2015, we were required to provide assistance to 15 households. Of that total, 17 households were assisted. All of those particular funds were expended, and we was able to leverage $104,294. Shore Housing Resource Board was able to provide assistance for fair housing, and if anyone wanted to look at that particular project, they could be able to see on at www.shorehousing.org. Also, for that particular year, Salisbury Neighborhood Housing Services had received $200,000 for their down payment assistance. Of that amount, they was able to provide 21 households assistance. They were set up to only provide 19. It was those particular projects have been able to meet all of their requirements. For the brand new fiscal year for 2017, we have two particular projects. Will be turning it over to Cheryl, who will be able to provide you what that particular assistance would be able to actually provide.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
If you could grab the mic, just
Sure.
a little bit. Yeah, thanks.
As Ms. Carter indicated, we did expend our award from 2015, which was an original amount of $200,000. We expended those funds in about 5 months, giving 20 families down payment and closing cost assistance, which leveraged about $2.2 million in first mortgage loan funds. For fiscal year 17, we are requesting the county's support in applying for additional funds of $500,000 to do the same program, down payment and closing cost assistance, outside of the city limits, but within Wicomico County. We've already been awarded funds for the city for families living within the corporate limit lines.
Okay. And this is going to be, from what I'm looking, it's quite a few more families with this
Yes, we're
funding.
anticipating 47, possibly 50 with this round of funding.
Okay. Any questions from council? What, the other question I would have is, in noting that Wicomico County agrees to contribute, I guess, administrative and in-kind services, what type of a commitment is that, I mean, expense-wise, or how do you judge that?
Typically, we normally spend about anywhere from 50 to 70,000, and that's in regards to staff. We also provide services as far as copying and all of that.
Okay.
So, between the actual staff time, and the actual grant itself is for 2 years, so.
Okay. Is this part of what is budgeted every year in anticipation of the in-kind contribution?
Generally, yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Okay, and the next particular
Yes.
project is with the Maryland Food Bank. And we have with us today Mr. Steve Schaub, and he's going to present on the behalf of them. Got one there?
He has one. Good
Thank you.
morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Appreciate that.
Good to have you here.
So the Maryland Food Bank, as you know, has been deeply rooted here in Wicomico County. Our Eastern Shore branch is located in Wicomico County on Owens Branch Road. Over the past 5 years, we've gone from supplying 2.8 million meals distributed to last year 5.2 million meals. And we've done that within the same square footage that we've had for a long time. So this request for community development block grants and funds for that is to enable us to expand the building. We had looked originally at replacing the building, going to a different location in Wicomico County. Of course, we
Right.
tried to look for it. And the problem was not that there wasn't space available, but there wasn't a building that was used that was of the size we needed. Typically, they were too big, or we were in competition with some of the marijuana growers who have bought some of those buildings right now, and it's made it a little bit tough on us. Good for them, tough on us. But the bottom line is we've determined that through some efficiency and some changes that we want to make, we can live within the facility that we have. We're going to be adding 2,400 square feet of cooler space. That cooler space is going to enable us to change the layout in our building. It's going to enable us to have an area where we can attract more volunteers. Today, it's very hard for us to run the warehouse and have volunteers at the same time. And so by adding this space, we'll be able to reconfigure things, have a great volunteer area, and then have some cold storage that will enable us to get more product out. Food insecurity in Wicomico County is 15.5%. So 15.5% of the folks in Wicomico County aren't sure where the next meal is coming from. And as you can see by our how many meals we've sent out over the past 5 years, the need just continues right now.
Sure.
So we do also support the Farm to Food Bank program. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. That's taking a lot of local crops that are grown, and those get distributed with our food product as well. This cold storage facility will also enable us to utilize those a little bit longer. Right now, we're doing them in an unrefrigerated area because of space. If we can get that into a cold storage area, we can extend the life of those and be able to get them out to more needy families. So we do appreciate your support of that.
Do you have any cold storage now?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Yeah, Purdue Farms and the county helped us with some cold storage with a block grant about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago.
And that's been great. That's actually real cold storage and freezer storage.
Right.
And then what we want to do now is expand just refrigerated storage, 55 degrees, to an additional 2,400 square feet.
Yeah, so when you're dealing with perishables, it'd be nice to have plenty of cold storage.
And especially with the availability of produce here in the shore, we really want to maximize that. We don't want that to go to waste. And we
Understood.
get it, of course, during the season, so we need to have a place to store it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here. Good luck with everything. I'm sure it'll go well.
And for the
Yes.
record, I have to state this for the record, that the applications will be available for review by May the 31st, 2016, and they can be reviewed at the Planning and Zoning in room 203.
When do you think you'll have a response?
We normally get our response back. The first particular cut is normally, we're made aware in the month of July, and then we will receive the final sometime in September.
Okay, all right. If you'll let us know, it'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. This time, council comments.
Public comments. Public
Oh,
comments first.
sorry, guys.
That's right.
It's not a good morning. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comments. Anybody that would like to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and your address.
My name is Mary Ashanti, and I'm president of Wicomico County NAACP. I live in Salisbury on Ocean Gateway. My concerns today is, well, before I tell you our concerns, I'll just mention that on May the 26th, 7 o'clock at Chipman Cultural Center, we will have our monthly meeting. It will be a legislative wrap-up. The members of the General Assembly, the Eastern Shore delegation will be there, and all are welcome. We come to you today with a concern about school safety. And I'll read because we don't have much time. On April the 10th, we, meaning the NAACP, sent a letter to Dr. Ferguson and the Board of Education, and we also copied you all on that letter. We said that in the past 20 years, since I've been president, there have been about 4 reported incidents of rape in the school system, and 2 of those incidents have been in the past 2 years, with the attempted rape at Bennett just a few months ago. We said that we realized that it would take all the stakeholders, and that includes students, the parents, the education organizations, civic organizations, business and whatever, faith-based, working together. So we ask that they create an environment where our kids can feel safe. We urge the Board of Education to establish stakeholders groups such as the ones they established when they selected the superintendent. And we mentioned that we thought that this group would help them to come up with strategies to combat violence in the school system. And we asked them to treat this situation as urgent. We did not receive anything, any plan or anything like that from the Board of Education. So on May the 8th, we wrote again, asking them to, the purpose of the initial recommendation, which was April the 10th, was to initiate action to formulate a plan for implementation of the upcoming school year. And we mentioned that this situation is too serious to wait till July the 1st till the new superintendent come on board. If they wait till July the 1st, there's no way they can have a plan in place for the upcoming school year. So we also mentioned that if we did not see any evidence, receive any report or anything from them by May the 11th, my recommendation to our executive committee would be to report it to the media, the State Board of Education, U.S. Department of Justice, and others. We did not receive anything May the 11th, so I sent this information to the media. What we would like to happen, and in fact, after I sent the information to the media on May the 12th, is when we received something in writing from the Board of Education. We don't understand why we couldn't have received it before then. We don't understand why there was not a group developed. But what we would like to see the school board to do is to investigate the nature of the problems in their school and report the findings. train staff and teachers on how to handle violent students and students with behavior problems, increase the number of people on the school safety security team in each school, hold weekly security team meetings to address violence and behaviors in the school system, hold monthly meetings with stakeholders to address issues and solutions, enroll each school in the Teaching Tolerance program, which is a project of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it is a free project that other school systems are using. Start values education programs in each school to change the school climate. Bring stakeholders together to address the rape and violence in the school and how to prevent it. We would also like to make sure that the camera is manned, the surveillance camera is manned the entire time the children are in school. If that means hiring someone to do that, then do that. When that person has to get up, another person gets in the seat. It should never be unmanned. That's the purpose of having the camera, to make sure that these children are safe. The other thing is, in which we would hope that they had done back in May 2014 when there was a rape, but apparently it was not done. We would like the school to hold assemblies, more than one. One on self-respect and respect for others, one on conflict resolution, one on bullying, anger management, and have life crisis to come in and talk to these students. Thank you for your time. And the other thing is, I want to say something to you all, and whatever. Number one, the Board of Education is the supervisor of the superintendent of school. So when we started this out quietly because we were not interested in media or whatever. But they failed to have the superintendent respond to our letter. And you're always talking about education and all that. We sent you all a copy of it, and we heard nothing from you all. That you all did not call the Board of Education or the school system to come here and justify why they didn't have a plan. So, everybody.
Board of Education is on our agenda today, President Shawnee.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity once again to address you. It has been some months. My name is Rick Green. I live on Canterbury Drive here in Salisbury, Maryland. And what I've provided each of you a copy of this morning is a report from our lawyers, Jacob Stotsky. They're from Washington, D.C. The content of this letter, let me preface it by saying the gentlemen in this law firm are all former lawyers with the EPA and can be easily found on the web for further information. What I'm bringing to you today is the summary of many discussions, and I would like to, at this point, read it into record, time permitting. It's addressed to me because they had my address. We were requested to review the proposed Wicomico County zoning changes to address new construction and expansion of large industrial poultry operations or poultry CAFOs in greater Salisbury and Wicomico County. This letter provides additional information on the contemplated or proposed amendments for the county code for CAFOs. Concerned citizens, CCAIC, we'll just refer to it henceforth as concerned citizens, represents and is comprised of members of the greater Salisbury community and the county. Concerned citizens recently submitted a brief list of planning and zoning recommendations to council for adoption into county code. These recommendations address the growing risks associated by current trends in CAFO development in the county. Specifically, ever-increasing concentration of, is an issue of crowded facilities on a shrinking land base or parcel of land. The recommendations are aimed at preserving balanced growth in greater Salisbury and the county, protecting human health and the environment, protecting small farmers from unfair manipulation of local zoning laws by industrialized operators, and preserving the integrity of local communities threatened by unchecked industrialized CAFO expansion. We believe these recommendations offer common sense protections to the community with only modest restrictions on new CAFO construction. I repeat, only modest restrictions on new CAFO construction. It is worth noting that we did not recommend new restrictions on existing CAFOs, i.e. grandfather rule would apply. Any further of particular importance are the minimum setbacks described in the recommendation, which was 1,000-foot setbacks for property lines and 2,000-foot setbacks from waters of the state. These setbacks will provide critical buffers between residences' front doors and the poultry house doors, and will ease potential impacts addressed in several other recommended restrictions, including buffers, CAFO density, and best practices. Concerned citizens developed these recommendations based on current studies and reports on the impacts of CAFOs on human health, economic health, and the environment. These impacts include drastic increases in ammonia and particulate matter from large CAFO operations, i.e. 100,000 broiler capacity or greater. We are also obviously concerned with the increased potential pollution to the waters of the state with little or no long-term economic benefit to the county. And we anticipate, as revealed by the real estate connections that we have, that property values will decline. With regard to critical local sources, the concentrated industrialized nature of large CAFOs present a real risk of contamination to the Paleo Channel. Current trends of CAFO facilities with capacities of over 250,000 broilers presents practical challenges for maintaining waste. In addition to the large numbers, current trends in the county allow for ever smaller parcels of land to house these massive facilities, and that's what we see is happening. These practices have resulted in substantial increases in waste throughout the process and will continue to do so at these crowded facilities. Employing deep, unlined storm water ponds designed to receive poultry waste runoff from the facility is of major concern. It's a twofold threat to local water resources, including the Paleo. First, pollutants such as nitrates and bacteria build up in these unlined ponds, easily migrating through the relatively porous rock underlying the Paleo Channel. Second, storm events will cause overflows of these ponds, sending large amounts of pollutants into roadway ditches and local waterways, greatly increasing the risk of these pollutants percolating into the Paleo Channel. Now, what we see below there is simply the research, some of the information we brought to your attention most recently is Northampton's minimum setbacks. And if you review Northampton, Halifax, all of those there, you will see the majority of them call for 1,000 feet from the property line, 1,500 feet from existing subdivisions or town edge, and there's 1,000-foot requirements relative to dwellings and schools in other areas, in parks, etc. I won't bore you by reading all of that. You can certainly read it yourselves. But obviously, what I'm pointing out here, gentlemen, is what we presented to you has been well thought out. It has been aligned with what you see here in terms of the research, and therefore, we suggest that it is reasonable to accept these items. Ultimately, this is a question of scale and concentration. The plan and the county code seek to protect traditional farmland, including traditional CAFOs, and bring balance to residential and commercial growth within Wicomico County. But current trends in large industrial CAFOs build on every shrinking parcel threaten to disrupt that balance. The council members and county executives should maintain that balance for the good of the entire community. We informed them in my discussions with them of our meeting with President John Cannon and Council Member Mark Kilmer, met with Gabby Camarado, myself, and Joe Schiller. Joe Schiller formerly with the county in the finance area. An excellent meeting, very amiable, rather lengthy, 2 hours in length, and I appreciate the fact that these gentlemen would take the time and review that with us. We talked about many of these recommendations, and as we see there, we felt that we were moving ahead substantially. We are now concerned in seeing the recent article in the newspaper. I'm not reading verbatim, obviously, from this letter simply because time is of the essence. But it appears the recommendation for a 400-foot setback is back on the table again, is being considered as distance from the chicken house to residential home. As well, there's also a recommendation involving a 100-foot setback from property line. Our friends with the poultry industry are a major component in this county, and we appreciate them tremendously. We also appreciate the poultry growers and what they bring to the community as a whole. We are not anti-chicken in any way, shape, or form. Thank you very much for considering these remarks, and I trust you will take this letter and give it due consideration. And thank you for the additional time.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm going to speak on behalf of a few people this morning, so bear with me as I'm shuffling some papers around. My first,
Gabby, if you could just state your name and...
oh yes, my name is Gabby Camarada, live off of Northwest Road, Salisbury, Maryland. My first thing on my little agenda this morning is to present the council with an additional 198 signatures from the assisted living Sassafras Meadows on behalf of Jean Morris, who is an 84-year-old resident who cannot be here this morning due to the parking restrictions outside that limit her walking distance and a 20-minute parking limit. So on behalf of her, I present another 198 signatures to the council against the industrial scale chicken houses that are presiding in this area. That makes almost 1,000 signatures that we have handed in, as well as the online petition. Also, I realize I'm a few short on these, but due to the issues that we've had before, I wanted to provide council with an additional list of poultry-only studies so that council may read them as well, and I will provide an electronic copy to you on your emails as well this morning. It seems as though a lot of us have been taking a lot of time to dig on behalf of the council and find poultry-related studies so that you can make an educated decision on the new regulations at hand. I also wanted to mention again that we will have a town hall meeting on Thursday, May 19th, from 6:15 to 9:30. The location has changed as of I sent the invites a week or so ago. It will be at the Flanders Room, the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center, and I also have provided copies of flyers for that as well. We will have a mingle hour from 6:15 to 7 p.m. so that related groups can share educational materials. And we will start a panel discussion at 7 p.m. Panels include Dr. Jillian Fry from Johns Hopkins, Maria Payan from Socially Responsible Agriculture Project, Michelle Merkel from Food and Water Watch, Craig Watts, a former contracted poultry grower, Fred Tutman, who is the farming representative from Patuxent River Commission. There are several co-sponsors, including our group, CCAIC, Concerned Citizens Against Industrial CAFOs, ASC Coastal Trust, Circle of Leaders, Wicomico NAACP, Socially Responsible Agriculture Project, Moms Across America Eastern Shore, and Center for Emerging Media. Again, I just wanted to mention that there will be a new location, and I've only received 2 definite answers from my invites that I sent a week ago from Council President John Cannon and also Mark Kilmer. And I have not received any other definite answers on whether or not the rest of the council, the county executive, and members of the Wicomico County members are also invited as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good morning, I'm Bill Satterfield, 3922 Colburn Mill Road, Salisbury, and Executive Director Delmarva Poultry Industry Incorporated. Thank you for the opportunity to share some data with you. I have in my hand the summaries of 3 studies done by researchers at the University of Georgia, including the Department of Environmental Health Services. These are studies on air emissions from chicken houses in Georgia. I will admit out front, these are Georgia chicken houses, but similar to the houses that are used in Wicomico County, same types of birds, same types of growing programs. I am not aware of any locally done studies on air emissions, but these I think are relevant, and I will share just some brief summary highlights. The first one, the objective was to measure downwind ammonia concentrations emitted from broiler houses when ventilation rates would be at a maximum. Quote, ammonia concentrations were lower as distance from the houses increased, with ammonia levels at 100, 200, 300, and 500 feet being less than 1 part per million in approximately 60%, 75%, 85%, and 90% of the observations respectively. Ammonia concentrations extending to 100 feet from the houses were influenced by the tunnel fans themselves. Wind direction and speed were the factors that significantly influenced downstream ammonia concentrations beyond 100 feet. At no time did measured ammonia levels meet or exceed established Occupational Safety and Health Administration, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency ammonia odor detection threshold values during the study. There was a second study looking at fine particulate matter downstream out of poultry houses, investigating the particulate matter of less than 2.5 micrograms per cubic meter of air. And it says that they were taken the last 4 weeks of a summer flock, considered when the ventilation is greatest. Based on these data, there is a rapid reduction in fine particulate concentration as the distance from the source increases. When compared with neighboring monitoring data, particulate levels appear to be near background levels at distances greater than 100 feet from the exhaust fans. And I have shared this with you, and I hope you'll have a chance to look at it. A few comments, if I might, on the Hines and Associates report, which I read last week. 3 things in particular. There was seemed to be a great focus on there about carcass disposal and the burying of carcasses. That's not been an industry practice for 25 years or more. Chicken houses built in the future and built in the last 20 years or so have not relied upon digging a hole and putting the carcasses in the ground. It's a non-issue. Mr. President, if you indulge me for another 30 seconds. So that's a non-issue. Why it's in that report in such detail, I don't know. Arsenic is mentioned, and the report does acknowledge that arsenic has been not allowed to be used in Maryland since 2012. The manufacturer of the products, the arsenic-containing health products, voluntarily in 2011 withdrew those products from the marketplace. Chicken houses being built now will not have birds in them fed arsenic. It's not an issue. Could there be arsenic in some of the manure from years ago, being removed from the houses for farmland application? Yes, but it's minimal. And the report did not have much in there about the CAFO permits, Concentrated Animal Feed Operation permits, which are part of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. These are EPA-required permits that dischargers are supposed to have, whether it's a sewage plant or a factory or some other source of discharge. In the CAFO permits in Maryland, there is to be zero discharge of nutrients from the production area of the poultry farm. Zero. Other discharges, pollution from wastewater treatment plants or factories, can reach a certain threshold. And if it exceeds that threshold, then there are penalties likely. For chicken farms, under the CAFO permit system, there is zero. Zero. And the stormwater ponds, which are being constructed on new farms, are designed to collect rainwater. Rainwater which flows through the production area of the farm where there is zero discharge. So the stormwater management ponds are not containing massive amounts of nutrients. It's rainwater. And I just want to close by saying we thank you for your consideration of this issue and it being in line with Chapter 186, the Right to Farm section of the Wicomico County Code, which reads, "It is the declared policy of the county to preserve, protect, and encourage the development and improvement of its agricultural land for the production of food and other agricultural products." I think chickens are agricultural products. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Satterfield. Any other public comments? Seeing none, that concludes the public comments for the day. Council comments? Councilman Dodd?
I've got a few. I think it was Wednesday, Councilman Kilmer and I attended Peter Francho's proclamation that he was given to Northwestern School also for the Silver Hammer Award. And the school is in good shape. It's an older school. And I want to reiterate that the governor and Peter Francho like the fact that they are keeping and maintaining these schools in good order instead of tearing them down and building new schools. It's their way of saving money. Peter Francho also gave me a medallion for my past service, so Mr. Culver's still waiting on one.
His service ain't passed yet.
I just wanted to point that out. I do want to thank everybody for attending. It's a good turnout today. Thank you very much. Ms. LaShante, I feel your passion, I really do. And I think the rest of the council feels the same way about school safety. We were going to discuss it with key people on April 30th, but that meeting was canceled. I don't think that we should be flying a bunch of emails back and forth, but we are going to meet on it. Like the president said, and he'll probably go in this further, we are going to meet with the board earlier. I do know that there are people that are reaching out to the citizens public via social media, the media. WMDT had an article on that. Somebody posted it on my Facebook page. So I do feel your passion, and we do care about the citizens, the students, and the teachers and employees. I'm getting bombarded with complaints from a lot of people from the school board. Not the Board of Education, not the central office, from employees, parents. I'm hearing about it, and we are going to discuss it. Safety is a big concern. I have kids in the school system, but I care about everybody else's kids. I was on the board for 5 years, so it's not just about my kids. So we are going to talk about it, and we're not going to let this go. And I apologize if you think we're ignoring you, because we weren't. But it is up for discussion very soon. So it's something else. It's in case a lot of you all didn't know, it's National Police, what's it called? Help me out. National Police Officer Week. It's a memorial to honor fallen officers. It starts from the 15th to the rest of the week. So I've always supported police officers, and I talk about this often, but this is Memorial Week to honor them, so. But that's all I have, and thank you.
Jim? I'm sorry, we're going to go, Ernie?
I do plan to attend your town hall meeting on the 19th. And just to reiterate what Councilman Dodge said, as some of you might not know or do know, we don't control the Board of Education. We can't force them to do anything. You know, we can recommend, or like the President said, they are coming in here, we can talk to them about it, but we do not control them. And that's, you know, that's something that we can't do.
Councilman Howell?
Okay. Yes, last meeting, we had a gentleman got up to the podium, and he brought a picture to us, and I'm going to hold this picture up. I hope the camera, I don't know if he can zoom in. Anyway, it was a picture taken at the Salisbury Christian School. Pardon me?
He's zooming in.
Oh, okay. There it is. Okay. You can see it now? Okay. This picture was held up at the podium. Apparently, he took that picture with a telescopic lens, and he stated, and it's in the minutes, that this poultry house was was 200 yards or so. I think that's the way Laura wrote it in the minutes, from this ball field. Well, I went over there and looked at it, and there's a dual highway between this ball field and this poultry farm. Now, I don't have a rangefinder, but I had two people that I know went and shot the range on it, and it's 400 yards. So when folks get up and speak, they need to tell the truth. This council, we don't always agree. And we've sit here and we've listened to this testimony for weeks now. We don't always agree on things, but we're honest with each other. Now, I've heard a lot of stories in the past few weeks about the poultry industry that were untrue. And I've been real quiet about it. But today I've got to speak up. I've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of people have said things that were untrue about the poultry industry, and I'm going to read some of those off. Some of them were said in this room. One of them is there's giant 10-foot fans blowing particulates all over the countryside. There's no 10-foot fans in chicken houses. We're sending all our meat to China that we grow here. We might export meat to other countries, but I'd rather have us export meat to other countries than eat chicken that's grown in China. I can tell you that much right now. We're importing farmers to raise our chickens. We do have people from other countries that's raising chickens in Wicomico County. And I've known some of them, and I'm proud of them. They're good people. I had them as customers years ago, and I'll explain that part a little when I go down here a little further. We have a neighborhood on the east side called Kilburnie, and some of you heard this story before, and you'll probably hear it again. Kilburnie is a neighborhood of 240 homes on Mount Herman Road, and very proud neighborhood. They take very good care of their homes, and I'm proud to have them in my district. And anytime they call me, if there's anything I can do for them, I help them out. Well, it seems though the people that are the opposition here, or whatever they want to call themselves, needed a little help. So they go over to Kilburnie to their town hall association meeting or their homeowners association meeting, and they tell them that there's going to be a mega farm being built with a few hundred yards of their property. At that meeting, somebody mentioned my name, and they were told, well, there's no need to talk to Joe because he won't help you out. He's pro-poultry. So the homeowners association president goes home and prints up 240 letters, 240 plus letters, sends them out to all the neighbors, all the people in the neighborhood, then drives around the neighborhood and puts them in mailboxes about these 4 to 8 mega chicken houses that's going on a farm. Well, of course, I started getting phone calls, and I started checking into it. It was a complete untruth. There was no truth to that farm being built. I called the tenant that tends the land. I called the property owner. I went to ASCS office, and I went on the MDE website. There was no truth to them statements. It was just done to inflame people. And if that's what you all got to do to get backing, shame on you. Okay, we're in the pocket of poultry. Anybody here in the pocket of poultry? I don't think so. It's probably been 15 years. I had a country store and I sold farm supplies, and I might have sold a few things to Purdue, and I sold a lot of things to poultry growers that were my customers. So I don't think any of us is in the pocket of poultry up here, and I don't like being accused of it. I think the most tragic thing that's happened through all these discussions is people have played the race card. And that's a travesty. Unless you're a Native American, we all came from somewhere else. And the people that I have met that have come here to work in the poultry industry, to own poultry farms, are upstanding people. And I could go on about this, and I probably will at a later date, but I think everybody that comes in here, when they get up to that podium or when they call somebody, they should have their truth. That's what they need to tell, because that's what we're going to deal with up here. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Holloway. Council comments. Under presidential comments, a couple things. Over the past couple of weeks, we attended the Warwick commencement. I'd like to congratulate all the students who worked so hard to walk across that stage. It was a very well-run event. I'd like to congratulate them again and Dr. Hoy for the wonderful job that he's doing at Warwick. Also spent Saturday night at the Hebron Fire Banquet. I'd like to congratulate the Hebron Fire Department. They're an institution in Wicomico County for their carnival and also for their service to Wicomico County and the town of Hebron. They're celebrating, as I said, their 90th anniversary. That's wonderful. And again, I'd like to congratulate them for everything they've done. That being said, in reference to the, what we've heard through the from President Ashani as far as violence in the schools, et cetera, we're aware of that, and we're doing what we can behind the scenes. I've met personally with the state's attorney. I've met with the sheriff's department. I've also met with the Board of Education. I've met with the administration. So we are aware, and we're doing what we can from our perspective to create whatever influence we can to try to wrap this up. There is a great concern over it, and we want to make sure that it doesn't go any further than it's been right now. It's a bit out of control. It's not much consolation, but the other day I was at the Department of Corrections. And even at the Department of Corrections, they're very much surprised by the number of minors that are now getting involved in serious crimes. And as it was portrayed to me, these were events that are not the norm, haven't been the norm over the last 20 years. But he stated clearly that within the last year, the last 18 months, it's escalated. So there's a larger problem or larger challenge in Wicomico County that we do need to address. I think a lot of what you suggested today is very, very good. I like your ideas of holding the forums, et cetera, and I'll see if we can't make sure that this is implemented through the Board of Education. That being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn so that we can go into an open work session followed by a closed work session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Yeah. We'll take a 5-minute recess if we could, please. Thank you.